and welcome to the special meeting of the Greater Clark County School Board. Would you please show that we have 2 people absent? Let's all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you have a telephone or device, would you please silence it? We have only one item on the agenda tonight, and that's the public hearing on our superintendent's proposed employment contract. And that has been posted for public to see. And tonight, this is a meeting, or this is a hearing on that one item only. So when you're invited to come speak in support or not in support, that is the agenda item that you may speak on. Okay? This evening's public hearing is a hearing on the superintendent's proposed employment contract. The school board encourages comments and questions related to this project by the citizens of Greater Clark. You will have 3 minutes, and I apologize, I don't have to turn that thing off. You will have told you I'll turn yours off, and now I can't turn mine off. You have 3 minutes for your presentation. You will be notified when you have about 30 seconds left to bring your presentation to a conclusion. For the sake of time, if a prior speaker has made a comment that you were going to make, it is sufficient to say, "I agree with Mrs. Smith," rather than repeating the entire comment that that person had made. If you desire to comment, when I open the public hearing for comments, please raise your hand to speak. When recognized, come forward to the podium and state your name and address prior to the beginning of your comments. The board, this is a hearing for us to listen, and we are not to make comments to the people who are speaking. Okay? I now open the public hearing. Would anybody care to speak? Yes, sir.
Do I have to go up here?
Yes, sir. To the podium.
So I get recorded?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mark Felix. I'm the new Greater Clark Teachers Association president, and I speak on their behalf, as well as probably some members of this community. Got some statistics for you. 2011 through 13, we got half-step raises. 13 and 14, we got nothing. 2014 and 15, we got a 2.5% across the board raise, but that was because we had sacrificed in the previous years, and we cut 20+ teachers. 2016 and 17, we got step raises. If you're at the top of the scale, you got nothing. 2017 and 18, which is our current schedule, which helps new teachers, has somewhat hurt middle-level teachers and does nothing for the most experienced teachers. So I got a $13 raise. That adds up in 7 years. I haven't had a decent raise, to be honest with you. 2.5% plus a few dollars here and there. It doesn't keep rate with inflation, not at all. And I don't begrudge Dr. Mellon for wanting a raise at all. I want one. And I know that Dr. Mellon works very hard. He does. I get it. But we got a lot of people that work hard. Our maintenance people work hard. Our paras work hard. Our food service people, everybody that is part of Greater Clark works very, very hard. And Dr. Mellon has some great schools. He's got something to brag about. But the people in those schools are what make them great, not costly new initiatives, not a lot of fancy gadgets. It's the people, it's the teachers, it's the paras, it's the ones working there. Now you have to ask yourselves, board, this goes out to you, is Dr. Mellon worthy of a corporate world raise and benefits when many of our employees don't earn a living wage, and that's why we're losing them to other schools? It looks bad, it looks wasteful. I understand the state's made it difficult for public school funding, but don't blame our poor raises on teachers. okay? Everybody that works for Grady Clark has had a hard time. We've all sacrificed, and teachers are at the front of that every single time. Here's a little analogy. Dr. Mellon's the captain of a huge ship. Ship's got a lot of needs. Captain is the leader. He sets the example for all of his crew. He should therefore lead by example and request no more than what he offers his crew by percentage. Instead, perhaps offering 2.5% over the next 7 years, no change in life insurance coverage for his entire career, no vehicle allowance, no increase in the amount going toward his retirement annuities, and raise his health insurance costs, make him work in dirty, aging buildings, and teach in a class of over 30 students all day long. He'll probably start looking for a job elsewhere. That is what's been expected of us. A 5.9% raise and all the other benefits being offered just looks bad to his staff, and it looks worse to this community. He already makes a very competitive salary, and it provides him with a very good retirement. If the board and Dr. Mellon can find a way to offer the rest of our employees in Greater Clark comparable raises, then go on, vote for it. Just remember that it's Greater Clark community's money we're spending, and it just looks bad if we don't have money for other things. They'll remember it, the community will remember it, GCCS staff will remember it, and when they go to the polls, they'll remember it. So spend the money wisely. If we can make it fair for everybody, then let's do it. You'll expect a similar request from GCCS staff when the time comes. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else? Would anybody else care to speak? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and your address.
My name is Janelle Fitzpatrick. My address is 2354 Wellington Green Drive in Clarksville. I am a recently retired Greater Clark County School teacher. And in reference to the proposed contract for Dr. Mellon, it was kind of ironic because when I saw the basic changes, I was in the middle of filing, and during that process found two of my contracts, 2007 and 2017. In that 10-year period, my total salary went up 10%. 5 consecutive years of that 10-year period, there was no raise. So you have to do a little math. But there were some other issues, and that was, I think, I have to agree with several things that Mark said about the benefit decrease. We went from $1 a year for the single plan to $30 to $100 a month for the single plan. Other changes were Greater Clark was no longer putting money into the VEBA account, which would bridge the gap between retirement and Medicare for health insurance premiums. Also, the annual days were capped, and policies were made, different policies about how to use those. So basically, we stayed the same or possibly decreased in our overall salary and benefits package. We do have paras in our school district who don't even make a living wage. My concern is also for them. My concern is also I guess you would say, the commitment and responsibility that Dr. Mellon and the board have, not only to one person or a small group of people, but to the community at large, to the voters, to the taxpayers who are now starting to be burdened with bond issues, to the students. There are many times during my school career where no was the answer to what I thought were basic needs for our students in the classroom. Equipment, supplies. So these are the things. We're also looking at student safety issues. We don't have a lot of money. That's okay. I ask that the leader of our school district be willing to tighten his belt as well, to maybe say no at this time and not ask for more than what his other employees are getting percentage-wise. And I asked the board If your commitment is to one person, then vote yes on this contract. If your commitment is to students, to parents, to burden taxpayers, and to voters, then consider voting no to this contract.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Your name and address, please.
My name is Bill Hawkins. I live at 404 Bell Street, Bethlehem, Indiana. And I hadn't planned on saying anything this evening. I didn't realize it was going to be open. I appreciate that. I thank the board for that opportunity. As project manager for the company I work for, I don't have nearly the responsibilities Dr. Mellon does, but I do have the responsibilities to look at my employees, look at the employees that work under me, and I have to make decisions about whether they're applicable to a job and whether their skills are applicable to a job and whether their skills deserve an increase in pay for whatever their skill levels happen to be. I set, just before I came in here, I pulled up on my phone on the internet. One site shows the inflation rate between 2012 and 2018 as 9.75%. From what I understand, the contract that you're looking at here is around 11% increase for total for Dr. Mellon. And I guess my point would be that even if I have an employee that I feel is capable of doing what he does, is well suited for it, it's hard for me to justify to my superiors pay him more than what the inflation rate has been. And I would think that the board might want to take that into consideration also.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Jacob Conrad, 606 Chippewa Drive in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I have 3 children that attend Bridgepoint Elementary. I commend and agree with all 3 of the prior speakers, great speakers. I'm not going to be near as well. I'm just a regular middle-class working individual. The rate of pay, the increase that I see Dr. Mellon getting, as you 3 have stated, is above acceptable in my opinion. Everything that you guys said as far as these board members, if you board members are yes sir, yes whatever Dr. Mellon says, I'm ashamed of you. If you can stand on your own 2 feet and you can decide for us out here speaking to you, I commend you. But if you can't, we will remember it in election time. I think we need to look at the safety. We are making cuts in areas. The last meeting, one of you said no, the rest of you said yes. I know you said we have to stick to this agenda.
Yes, sir.
Relating the 2 in that respect as we're going to make cuts here and we're going to make increases to the boss. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I'm relating it because it does relate. If we have to make budget cuts in areas for safety for our children, Dr. Mellon himself should have enough to care for the community, for our children, to say, hey, we're in a time in a situation that we are making cuts here. I myself will not take a pay raise to help our community. I will put back in areas that 20,000, if that's even close to the number of raise, I will implement that money in other areas. If that $7,000 car allowance, that kid that needs that bus ride to school, that doesn't sit well with me. I hope you board members take that into consideration. The public's here tonight voicing our opinion. Come election time, we look at you to listen to us, to take our feelings into consideration. I commend Dr. Mellon for what he has done, and I look at him as a leader in the school district. I commend him for the things, the accomplishments the man has made. In this particular incident of a pay raise, $180,000 a year, just as these statistics have been said before you, take those into consideration as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would care to speak? Yes, ma'am?
Good evening. My name is Sarah Chisholm, 640 High Street, Charlestown. I am co-president of Greater Clark Para-Educator Association. And first I would like to thank the two speakers before for including all of the educational support staff in our fight for increased wages. I do understand Dr. Mellon's need for increase in pay, but also I fought very hard this past spring for an increase in pay for our parent educators. I personally have been here for 8 years, and this year I will be at only $12 an hour. There are some other paraeducators that have been here 17 years, and we were only able to increase the top of the scale to $16 an hour. We tried very hard to fill in some gaps to make effort so that all the paras were able to get a fair increase, but we were told that there was no money. I would like you to consider, if your employees are told that there is no money, then where is that money? And I understand the need for Dr. Mellon to have a raise, but I think the rest of us would also enjoy at least a living wage so that maybe we can move out of public housing, maybe we can get off of food stamps, and those different kind of things.
Thank you. Would anybody else care to speak? Okay. If there's anyone in the audience who wants to ask a question or make a comment that's not already been made, please raise your hand and I'll recognize you. Okay. If no one else desires to make a comment on the budget, I declare this public hearing ended. Thank you very much.